welcome to Bloomberg Quint. You're joining us on this conversation with Mr. Keki Mistry of HDFC Limited. HDFC Limited has reported its second quarter results, where the net profit has risen by about 32% year on year. Firstly, Mr. Mistry, welcome to this conversation. Let me start with this profit number, this 32% growth. If you can just tell us where most of this is coming from.
Well, I would say largely it has come from the fact that individual loan business has picked up significantly during the course of the last quarter, during this quarter and month of October. The growth in individual loan disbursements, if we were to look at quarter two of this year versus quarter two of last year, the growth in percentage terms was 44%. If you look at the 6-month period, which is April to September 2021, and compare that with April to September of 2020, then the growth was as much as 80%, 80. And if we were to look at the second quarter, which is July, August, September 21, and compare it with the immediate preceding quarter, which is April, May, June of 21, then the growth was 48%. What has also happened is that in the last 2 or 3 years, primarily the demand was for in the middle income, lower income category of customers. Now we have seen a pickup even in the higher end market. We have seen a pickup of demand in cities like Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Pune, Chennai, Hyderabad, all these big cities. And consequently, you would see that the average loan amount for us has increased. The average loan amount is also a function of where the property is being bought. If the property is being bought in a tier 3 town, naturally the average loan amount would be smaller because property prices are lower in those places. But if you are buying a property in Mumbai or Delhi, the property price itself is higher, and therefore logically subject to the repayment capacity of the individual, the loan amount will also be higher. So average loan amount in this year, this period, this 6-month period, has been 31,90,000 rupees compared to about 27 lakhs last year. And if you were to look at the second quarter in isolation, which is July, August, September, then the average loan amount was 32.7 lakhs.
Okay. While I understand the increase in the individual business and the contribution of that to the overall income and net profit, if you look at the interest income portion, that has come down slightly year on year. Net interest income has risen, but interest income in itself has come down. So I'm just trying to understand that.
Cannot look at it like that, because that's in interest income would have come down, interest expenses would have come down. The gross figure of interest has no bearing whatsoever.
Sure.
Because it is a function of interest rates in the economy. If rates go higher, the gross interest income will go higher, the gross interest expense will also.
Fair enough.
So you need to look at the net interest margin, the net interest income.
There's also been a threefold jump in the dividend income portion of your income during the quarter. Where is that coming from?
That has come from HDFC Bank, HDFC Life, and HDFC Asset Management. So HDFC Life and HDFC Bank were earlier not allowed to pay dividend, but the regulators have permitted them to pay some percentage of the normal dividend that they pay, which has come last.
Fair. So on the asset quality,
so you would see that dividend income has increased during this 6-month period, but profit on sale of investments has declined significantly during. So this is not something you can match out. Is higher in some quarter, lower in another quarter.
Got it. I'll move to the asset quality side of the story. Now there, the gross NPA figure has improved quarter on quarter from 2.24 to about 2% now. But at the same time, you've seen slightly elevated restructuring under the second window, which the RBI had opened in May. I'm just trying to understand what the outcome of those loans looks like, going ahead. There's a sizable personal loan portfolio that has gone into restructuring. Are we expecting that to turn to normal by the end of this fiscal, probably next year?
I would expect that most businesses, as you are aware in the economy, have come back to normalcy. The strain that these businesses suffered during the first wave and recently during the second wave seems to be behind everyone. Unless you have another third wave which comes in at a future point of time, which again is disruptive in nature, to my mind, the growth momentum will continue to remain strong. And if the growth momentum in the economy is strong, then logically all these loans which have got restructured, and it's not such a large amount. If you look at the OTR 1 plus OTR 2, it is 1.4% of our loan book. If you were to look at OTR1, which we had announced last year, it was 0.9%. So 0.9% of the loan book has now become 1.4% of the loan book.
Understood. Okay, fair. Coming to the business side of the story again, now obviously your individual loan growth has shown considerable growth, but when you were talking to analysts earlier, you were also mentioning that even on the non-individual side, you're starting to see growth, and probably by the end of this financial year, you should see positive growth on the book, because year on year, of course, it would have come down. I'm just trying to understand where this business is coming from, how confident are you in terms of the quality of the business, because that is something that has suffered in the past.
So the entire growth in the loan book on non-individuals during this quarter, or for that matter during this half year, has almost entirely come on lease rental discounting loans. Now, lease rental discounting loans are extremely safe, for the simple reason that the repayment of the loan does not come out of the entity which has borrowed money. It comes out of the proceeds of the rent that is paid by tenants. And these properties have all been leased out to AAA tenants. It would be large multinationals and variety of other tenants. So therefore, to that extent, the quality of the book remains very strong. Even during the first wave and second wave, we did not see any significant change in the performance of the lease rental discounting portfolio.
This is despite offices not functioning and people working from home.
Yeah, despite that, very much despite that.
Okay, fair enough. Coming to the individual story again, you said that you're seeing growth from larger cities now, and that's why probably your average loan amount has gone up. What does that say about the affordable side of the story? Is it probably I'm guessing it's because of the smaller size compared to the larger cities. But is that growing slower in any way?
I won't say it's growing slower, but if we look at increment, it's growing in the same pace as it normally did, excepting that now, because the high-end market has started picking up as a proportion of total business, it looks a little lesser. So last quarter, 32% of our customers in number terms were customers from the economically weaker section and the lower income group. That 32% has become 30%.
You've seen decadal low interest rates, 6.5, 6.7%. Lenders are, cutting rates, especially during the festive season. I'm just trying to understand how long do you think this can continue? How much this momentum can continue of low interest rates, and when does this cycle turn?
All right. So when you talk of affordability, there are several factors which you need to take into account. Interest rates is just one of those factors. Yes, interest rates are at an all-time low. I don't see any likelihood of interest rates remaining or going lower than what they are at this point of time. How long they will continue at these levels is difficult to say. So if you look at the last 3 or 4 years, I would say since 2017, income levels have generally been rising at about 7.5 to 8% a year. So over that 4-year time period, interest rates would probably have risen by, let's say, 30% plus. And if you compound that 30%, it would be even higher. But property prices in 2020 were the same as they were in 2017. In fact, maybe even marginally lower. And therefore, in terms of affordability, housing has become so much more affordable compared to what it used to be. So it's not only a function of interest rates, it's the overall cost of a house as the multiple of a individual's.
All right, sir. If I can just tag in one more question, there was talk of a real estate, ARC, which can probably help the industry. Would you have any idea as to where this is, or what exactly is expected of it?
I don't know about the ARC concept, but there are ARCs which are there in the market which look at any kind of project, which would include a housing project also. But there are also a lot of real estate funds that have come up over the last 2.5 to 3 years to provide that last mile funding that developers require to complete a project. The government fund in this regard is a SWAMIH fund. Similarly, there are many other funds which have either been set up or as we understand, are in the process of being set up.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation, Mr. Mistry, and thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.